when San Antonio FC and Austin FC take the pitch at Toyota Field and meet for the first time in a competitive match between the two in the US Open Cup, there would have been about 18 years of history, decisions, and events that culminated into this match. This game was destined to happen years back, long before either team existed. Now, this may be the biggest match in San Antonio soccer history for San Antonio FC and for the soccer fans here in San Antonio. For Austin FC, it'll almost be equally important. The first ever US Open Cup match in team history. The most obvious reason for this new rivalry besides the geography is that many soccer fans in San Antonio believe that San Antonio should have been awarded the MLS bid instead of having Austin FC. For Austin fans, it's just been about a 4-year dream. Austin had 2 professional clubs before, the Austin Aztecs and the Austin Bulls, both played in the USL. But this is considered the first true professional team in the city of Austin. There was a time when San Antonio was a front runner for having a Major League Soccer team coming to the city. Of course, we now know the results as the city of Austin, just 77 miles north of Toyota Field, received a Major League Soccer team in the form of Austin FC. Every story has a beginning. For San Antonio, the story of MLS bid begins back in 2004. It was the first bid for San Antonio to have an MLS expansion team come to the city. The mayor of San Antonio at the time, Ed Garza, approached Major League Soccer with a proposal for an expansion team in San Antonio. Part of the plan was for the expansion team to play at the Alamodome and build some complexes for youth soccer. Then in 2005, the incoming mayor, Phil Hardberger, expressed that he was not a supporter and openly opposed having an MLS expansion team. All right, so let's keep in mind the state of MLS back in 2005. It was in recovery mode. It just survived contraction of 2 clubs in 2002 with Tampa Bay Mutiny and the Miami Fusion, and had survived some financial problems. It was an expansion year for MLS, adding Real Salt Lake and Chivas USA. MLS was looking to move forward past this and grow over the next decade. During the 2004-2005 timeframe, Don Garber, commissioner of Major League Soccer, was seriously considering San Antonio as the next expansion city. But Don Garber stated that the MLS bid for San Antonio had turned political. The City Council of San Antonio sent to Major League Soccer a new set of draft agreements for the lease on the Alamodome, which were to reflect the business terms of the Memorandum of Understanding. In a public statement, Don Garber said that these agreements instead contained many new terms that were in direct contradiction to the Memorandum of Understanding that was approved by the city on April 14th of that year. Terms under which that would be impossible for any sports team to succeed in the city. After a review of these drafts, and given the fact that the terms of the previously negotiated agreement are no longer honored, MLS and its owners will no longer consider San Antonio as a candidate for an MLS team in 2006. This is a statement that Don Garber put out to the city of San Antonio and publicly through MLS. To add insult to injury for soccer fans here in San Antonio with MLS hopes, the San Jose Earthquakes relocated to Houston and were renamed the Houston Dynamo for 2006. It seemed that San Antonio's dreams of having an MLS team was dead. In 2007, Toronto FC was named the next MLS expansion team. The ownership just paid $10 million to join the league at that time. Now keep that number in mind. In 2011, we had some new hope. San Antonio was home to a professional soccer team. Not a Major League Soccer team, but was home to the San Antonio Scorpions of the newly formed North American Soccer League. It was born out of the ashes of the NASL of the 70s. Soccer boomed in San Antonio. After a season of playing in a high school stadium, the Scorpions ownership built Toyota Field. The stadium was just a 15-minute drive north from San Antonio on I-35. It was built as an 8,400 seat stadium with standing room, and it was ready for expansion of an upper deck, additional suites, and other remodifications that were needed to bring it to MLS standards. Soccer fans in San Antonio answered in kind, leading attendance in NASL for the 2012 and 2013 seasons. And the Scorpions won the NASL championship in 2014. Once again, it seemed like San Antonio had a clear path to Major League Soccer. In December of 2013, Don Garber had announced that San Antonio was one of the 5 cities being considered for another Major League Soccer expansion. But just 4 months later, in March of 2014, Don Garber felt that San Antonio and the state of Texas wasn't in the immediate plans for expansion, but said that it would likely happen. Well, Don Garber was, and ended up being partially right. So around 2014, 2015, there seemed to be writing on the wall that the NASL was starting to fail, and it was starting to see itself as an antagonizer to Major League Soccer. It was also fighting for the lone second division rights in the U.S. soccer pyramid. It was not willing to share it with the up-and-coming United Soccer League, or the USL. NASL also wanted promotion relegation and had that partnership with Major League Soccer. At the end of the 2015 season, it was announced that the San Antonio Scorpions were ceasing operations, and their rights were sold to an unnamed group out of Las Vegas, which is still unnamed to this day. The city of San Antonio was once again without a professional soccer club and another dead MLS bid, and there was little hope for soccer in the Alamo City. But it didn't take very long for San Antonio to have another chance at professional soccer and the dream of having an MLS franchise. Spurs Sports and Entertainment announced that they would have a team join the USL and make a bid to join Major League Soccer. It was a joint venture between Spurs Sports and Entertainment, the city of San Antonio, and Bexar County. The city and the county put $9 million each for the purchase of Toyota Field. Spurs Sports and Entertainment donated $3 million to Morgan's Wonderland. It's an amusement park centered around people with disabilities. It was also owned by Gordon Hartman, who had owned the Scorpions and Toyota Field. The deal for Spurs Sports and Entertainment to bring in San Antonio FC was that it had a 20-year lease of Toyota Field for an undisclosed amount and 10 years to bring a Major League Soccer team to San Antonio. If Spurs Sports and Entertainment could not have a Major League Soccer team by basically 2026, they would have to pay a $5 million penalty to the city and county spread over 8 years, over the next 8 years. Spurs Sports and Entertainment also invested $1 million for improvements at Toyota Field, while the city and the county each had invested $500,000. On December 22, 2015, San Antonio FC was born with the backing of a major metropolitan area, county, and a very successful sports ownership that had experience in winning with the NBA San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio FC began play in 2016 and showed some success on the field, bringing in a talented roster of MLS veterans and youth. Attendance once again was outstanding. The city of San Antonio supported the new team. San Antonio was and has been in the top 8 of attendance in the USL every year since 2016, with several sellouts throughout the year. On February 22, 2017, Spurs Sports and Entertainment made a serious push for an MLS bid, releasing a YouTube video featuring then San Antonio Mayor Ivy Taylor and Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff, with full support for the MLS bid. The San Antonio bid would see a major roadblock just 8 months later. On October 16, 2017 is when the villain of this story enters the picture. Anthony Precourt, owner of the Columbus Crew, announced that he would intend to move the Columbus Crew to Austin if a new stadium deal couldn't be done. Not known to any party involved in the creation of San Antonio FC and the MLS bid for San Antonio, Anthony Precourt and the MLS Commissioner Don Garber made a deal when Precourt brought the Columbus Crew from the Hunt family back in 2002. Yes, the same Hunt family that owns FC Dallas. If the city of Columbus couldn't build a new stadium for the Crew by 2023, Precourt could exercise his right to move the Crew to Austin. When the news became public that Austin would likely receive an MLS team, Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff said that we found out there was some real, what I consider, dirty politics. At the time, Anthony Precourt didn't just own an MLS franchise, he was one of the MLS on the selection committee for new franchises. An unhappy Nelson Wolff said, "Putting the guy who wants to move to Austin on it, knowing full well if Austin wants a franchise, we're not going to get one because we're only 75 miles away or so." All of our suspicions came true. The Spurs didn't think it was going to happen, but when you've been around politics long enough, you can smell a rat. I figured that was a rat, and it turned out to be a big rat. Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff stated that if he had known that the clause had existed and that Precourt wanted the MLS team in Austin long before San Antonio FC was even around, the county would not have invested in the purchase of Toyota Field. I don't know why they did that, knowing full well that Precourt had the right to go to Austin. I don't know why they even opened up the process that we had thought that was going to be fair and turned out not to be, said Judge Wolff. Judge Wolff also considered a criminal indictment and a lawsuit to MLS and Anthony Precourt due to the process being fraudulent, and stated that MLS had misled the city of San Antonio, Bexar County, into an MLS bid. By November 29, 2017, MLS attorney Bradley Ruskin had sent a letter to Judge Wolff that the Spurs Sports Entertainment had agreed with MLS to defer consideration of the MLS bid until a second round of expansion. And then things got kind of quiet in San Antonio for a while. Then late in 2018, Spurs Sports Entertainment quietly and officially ended the MLS bid. Once that bid was dropped, the investigation from Bexar County District Attorney into MLS had pretty much ended. By then, Major League Soccer and Anthony Precourt were in full process of placing a team in Austin. Investors from the Cleveland Browns ended up buying the Columbus Crew, and Precourt was granted expansion rights for Austin. The interesting part now is that Anthony Precourt didn't have to pay any expansion fees for Austin FC. San Antonio once again was not part of the MLS discussion. In 2021, Austin FC played their inaugural season, calling Q2 Stadium in North Austin, some 15 minutes away from downtown home. While the dream of having an MLS team in San Antonio is no longer around, soccer is still thriving in the city. The USL has grown to be a strong second division league and is showing some financial stability and has a plan for the future. San Antonio FC continues to succeed on the field, looking to win a championship soon, and attendance continues to be in the top of the USL. The fan base does remain dedicated and passionate, and it hasn't been the end of the world for San Antonio soccer. So what is the fallout of all this, of Anthony Precourt and the decision of bringing a team to Austin? Well, the soccer landscape in America has changed significantly. It's affected 4 teams across 3 cities and 2 leagues. The Columbus Crew ended up being saved, and eventually they got their new stadium. Austin received its first professional soccer team in the city. The USL's Austin Bold, whose ownership fought and lost the battle for Austin's soccer heart, was sold and ceased operations. They're looking to return in the future, most likely playing in the USL in Fort Worth. And San Antonio lost its MLS hopes for a 3rd time, but San Antonio FC continues to play. The future of San Antonio FC is still solid. The team is producing some quality homegrown players, signing MLS veterans, and putting a competitive team on the pitch. But could San Antonio FC still play in MLS in the future? The MLS will have 29 teams next year, with the introduction of St. Louis City, and Las Vegas seems to be the front-runner to be the 30th and final MLS team, completing Don Garber's dream of a 30-team league. The cost of expansion has now reached north of $300 million, as we saw with Charlotte FC. It's a far cry from the $10 million that Toronto FC paid way back in 2007. It seems unless Don Garber, whoever succeeds him as MLS commissioner, decides to increase the league past 30 teams or introduce promotion and relegation, San Antonio will not be an MLS team anytime in the near future. If there was opportunity for expansion, and San Antonio was once again considered a top city, would Spurs Sports and Entertainment even pay $400 million or even more in expansion fees? With so much history over the past 18 years or so, the upcoming match between San Antonio FC and Austin FC in the Open Cup has a lot of meaning. A win for San Antonio FC would definitely feel amazing to the club and especially the fans. Something they could talk about for years. Maybe give San Antonio soccer fans a little bit of redemption and maybe give Austin some payback or to the league as well that misled them and a club that seemingly stole any chance of San Antonio having a Major League Soccer team. If you want to see a full detailed history on how Austin FC came to be and the whole history behind Anthony Precourt, Columbus Crew, and the move to Austin, there's a great 3-part video on Copa 90 Stories I highly recommend that you watch. You can watch it. I'm going to put the links below here on our YouTube channel, and hopefully you can watch them and enjoy those videos, as hopefully you enjoyed this video as well. Of course, you can follow us always on our social media at SoySaf, and then you can always check us out on our website at soysaf.com.